Hello! Happy August! Happy Women in Translation Month. This is a month dedicated to women writers who are writing in languages other than English, and I have got a little bit of a TBR and a little bit of a challenge for this vlog. So I want to try and read these 4 books in the next 2 days. It's currently midday on Thursday. I have already started reading, but I haven't had a chance to introduce the vlog yet. So this is the TBR. I'm going to tell you about each of these books as I start reading them. A quick look at what I do have on the TBR. We have The Faster I Walk, The Smaller I Am by Kjersti A. Skomsvold. This is translated from Norwegian. Then we have The Woman in the Purple Skirt by Natsuko Imamura. This is translated from Japanese. The Bleeding by Johanna Gustafsson. This is translated from French. And Drive Your Plough Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. And this is translated from Polish. This is the one that I've started off reading, so I'll tell you a little bit about that in a sec. I've tried to pick books that are translated from different languages, so we've got a little bit of a mix. I think I've accidentally picked 3 kind of mystery-esque books, which would be these 3. This one's more of like a slow-paced, possibly cozy read. I don't know. This is a pretty bashed up secondhand copy with annotations in it as well, so I'm kind of excited to read this and also see what somebody else thought was worth annotating in this. But this is the TBR with a potential bonus extra book, because why not? I've got Curse Bunny by Bora Chung. This is translated from Korean and is a series of short stories. I've already read the first one, which was The Head, which was very bizarre. It was about this head that was forming in a toilet made up of the bodily waste of the woman using that toilet. Very strange, very, very strange. So that was an interesting experience, but basically I've got this here to dive into as well, should I so choose. Now I do have today and tomorrow off of work, so I should have a fairly decent shot at reading these books. I don't have much else planned for the next 2 days other than going out to the pub tonight for a pub quiz. So basically I'm just dedicating reading time. I'm going to go into town a little bit and sit in a cafe and have a read. I have, as I said, already started one of these books and made a little bit of a dent. Hang on, I'm up to like here, page 116, so nearly halfway. So I feel like it's a good start. Also, I did something kind of exciting this morning, which I'm really, really happy about. I'm really proud of myself for doing this. I got my first tattoo. I will pop a picture on screen now. I'm so excited about this. I got a little sun. I wanted to get a sun for a couple of different reasons. One, I just love the sunshine. I thrive in the sunshine. It makes me happy. I want a sun on my body at all times. 2, I wanted this to kind of symbolise my personality as well. I think I'm fairly sunshiny and bubbly and happy, and I haven't always been like this. So the sun is kind of symbolising that side of things and also getting to this point in my life as well. I love it. I'm so excited. So I got that. I literally just got back actually. I love it. I'm so happy with it. But anyway, let me tell you about this book. I'm gonna read you the blurb because honestly, I'm not 100% sure where the plot's going yet, other than the fact that people are being found dead. In a remote Polish village, Janina Dostjeko, an eccentric woman in her 60s, recounts the events surrounding the disappearance of her 2 dogs. She is reclusive, preferring the company of animals to people. She's unconventional, believing in the stars, and she is fond of the poetry of William Blake, from whose work the title of this book is taken. When members of a local hunting club are found murdered, oh no, I'm going to have to learn how to pronounce her last name better than this. I just pronounced it. I just did it. Dostjeko becomes involved in the investigations. By no means a conventional crime story, this existential thriller by the Nobel Prize in Literature laureate offers thought-provoking ideas on our perceptions of madness, injustice against marginalised people, animal rights, the hypocrisy of traditional religion, belief in predestination, and caused a genuine political uproar in Poland. It's interesting so far. There's a mystery element there. I don't really know the direction that it's taken. We have had some conversations about animal rights, which I think is not something I've read often about, so it's good to see that kind of representation in this. I got recommended this by one of my patrons, Josh. Hi, thank you for recommending this. I'm very intrigued by it. The reason I started with this one is, so the biggest one is this. This whole stack, actually, all these 4 is just over 900 pages. I think it's 904 pages of my TBR for the next 2 days. This is the biggest one. However, this was the one I felt the most intimidated by, I suppose, because it looked like it was denser. So I thought I'd start with this one. I did start physically reading it this morning, and then I went out on a run. So I picked up the audiobook so I could listen to it whilst I was running. So I think I'm going to finish this one as an audiobook and bring this out with me as my physical read whilst I'm in a cafe. I think that's the plan. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. Let's get reading some women in translation. Maybe an extra 5th book. I don't know if I can do this. 2 days. 4 books. It was going to be 4 days. I was going to do a 4-day challenge, and then I thought this morning, you know what, let's try and do it in 2. So enjoy the vlog. I finished a book, I don't know where it is, it's here. I finished this book and I didn't really like it that much, but it was still fine, and I gave it 3.5, no 3 out of 5 stars, it was okay. This is a mystery that's slow paced for such a short book. It could have increased the pace a little bit, could have got us to the end a little bit quicker. We are trying to find out who has committed some murders. It is a bit literary fic, it's a mystery, it's a bit observational, people watching type of novel. I don't really have a grand amount to say on this book, it was fine. That's pretty much it, guys, really. I didn't really feel that invested. I don't know why. I started off intrigued, and then I think because it took so long to kind of get anywhere, it lost my intrigue, but I can see why that style would work for other people with a mystery, but for me it just didn't quite click. So this one, it got 3 out of 5 stars. I have started The Bleeding, which I'm really enjoying. Oh, I should tell you who the translators are, shouldn't I? Hang on a second. So this one was translated from Polish by Antonia Lloyd-Jones, and this one is translated from French by David Warrener. So this one is a gothic thriller. We're following 3 different time periods, mostly set in 2002, where we're following our main character who is investigating a case of her old school teacher stabbing her husband, as in the old school teacher's husband, to death many, many times with a knife. And there's something else going on with this storyline though. There's another mystery element that's been introduced, and our main character, who has recently lost her own husband and is raising her teenage daughter and her new baby on her own, is investigating this case and has taken on quite a lot. But at the same time as this, we're also going back and forth of other chapters in 1899, yes, 1899, where a woman's house is burnt down with her 2 daughters inside and everyone thinks they're dead, but she's convinced they're still alive. She goes down some spiritualist community routes to try and find out if they are still alive. And then we've got the 1949 storyline where our teenage character's father has died in the French Resistance, and she's not really fitting in at school, and she goes to her mum's place of work, which was an asylum, and she meets a woman there who ends up changing her life in the darkest ways imaginable. These characters and these stories, I assume, are all going to knit together. This is a story with black magic in it, and murder, secret societies, and spiritism, and women at breaking point who will go to terrifying lengths to protect the ones they love. It sounds really interesting. I'm enjoying it so far. The chapters are incredibly short, so I'm reading it very quickly. Like in the cafe, I was like, I'll leave in a minute, I'll leave in a minute, and I just kept not leaving. So I'm at page 66. I do need to sit down and read a bit more because it's 6:05 and I go out in about an hour and a bit, so I need to get a couple more pages in of this because we've still got 3 books left to read for this vlog. I also bought more books because I literally can't stop myself. I did have a birthday gift voucher at WATERSTONES, so I decided to get the Little Prince with that. This is by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I definitely completely butchered that, but how pretty is this edition? I will check the pronunciation on the name, but this is such a beautiful edition. I've wanted to read this for a while. Haven't read it. I know it's a classic. I will read it. I know that a lot of people love it. I also picked up Days at the Murasaki Bookshop. This is by Satoshi Yagasawa. This looks so good. I've heard so many people talking about this online recently. I love books about books, especially when there's a cozy, like books are the saviour kind of element to those stories, and this definitely has that. The first paragraph of this blurb says, "Hidden in Jonboko, Tokyo, is a book lover's paradise. On a quiet corner in an old wooden building lies a shop filled with hundreds of second-hand books." This is following a 25-year-old main character who has never liked reading. This bookshop, though, has been in their family for 3 generations, and it's her uncle's pride and joy. He has offered her a room rent-free above the bookshop while she nurses her broken heart because it turns out that her boyfriend is marrying somebody else, which is crap. It says she's surprised to encounter new worlds within the stacks of the books lining the Murasaki bookshop. As summer fades to autumn, Satora and Takako discover they have more in common than they first thought. The Murasaki bookshop has something to teach them both about life, love, and the healing power of books. That's great. It sounds great. I'm so excited. So anyway, I got some books, I read some books, I'm gonna read some more books. Let's go. I'm literally having to force myself to put this down, so I think that probably tells you a little bit something about the reading experience for this book. I am nearing the halfway point, but I need to go and cook dinner because I'm going out soon, and I would really like to try and fit in an episode of Heartstopper because season 2 came out today, which is not the best timing for me to be doing a reading challenge where I basically just have to spend all my time reading because I want to spend all my time binging Heartstopper season 2. But I'm going to allow myself one episode with dinner, so I'm going to put this down. It's happening. There we go. I can't possibly pick it up from where it is now. And I'm cooking dinner. This is the Fit for the Pub quiz. I managed to watch 10 minutes of Heartstopper before I had to leave, so to the pub quiz I go. Good morning, it is Friday. I'm coming to you from bed because I have got nothing big to do today, and that feels so good to say. I have the day off work today, and other than going for a walk, I'm just going to be reading all day. I'm going to do some Patreon reading sprints. It's going to be a good time. I am reading The Bleeding. I am halfway through, and we have had 2 moments at the end of chapters, that have been like big reveal moments, and I'm like, what? I love seeing stories like this linked together. When we've got lots of different things going on and you know they're going to all knit together but you don't know how, and they've started doing that, and I'm like, yes, this is feeding me the information perfectly. The pacing is spot on. I'm on the edge of my seat. I mean, I'm not, I'm in the middle of my bed, but you know, metaphorically, I'm on the edge of my seat. I need to know the short chapters, and the way that it switches between the different time periods is just so gripping, and I literally can't put it down. So I'm gonna get back to reading this now. I really like this line, sadness makes me flirt with madness. Audibly that just sounds really nice, but also I like it as a line. I'm about to head out on a walk, but I've got the audiobook for The Woman in the Purple Skirt. This is by Natsuko Imamura. It's translated from Japanese translated by Lucy North. I have started this one as I was making breakfast. This is centering around a woman that a lot of people seem to be obsessed with, or maybe just our main character, and our main character thinks more people are obsessed with her, but it's the woman in the purple skirt. Our main character really watches this woman and is very invested in their life, and she is taking a kind of unhealthy interest, I would say. The blurb says that this invisible observer isn't just a stalker, it's much more complicated than that. So I'm quite interested to see where this goes. It's really unsettling at the moment for the way that the narrator is kind of getting involved and thinks that they're responsible almost for this woman. It's interesting. I finished a book. I'm going to tell you about it. Let's go grab it. It's this one. I finished this one. I pretty much listened to most of this as an audiobook whilst I was on my walk this morning. This was really interesting. Very interesting voyeuristic thriller. People watching, twists and turns, didn't quite know who to believe, still don't really quite know who to believe. It felt very open-ended, like there were kind of a couple of different interpretations you could take from this and from the way it ended. It's kind of hard to talk about it without giving any spoilers, so I will try not to, but it was good. I really liked it. I thought the writing style was compelling, the pacing worked really well. I think it was interesting that you never really knew who to trust and what to trust. The characters were very unreliable, the narrator was incredibly unreliable. I love an unreliable narrator. Generally fun, interesting, captivating, kept me guessing, kept me wanting to listen to it. I gave it 4 stars. So, I'm about to go on Patreon sprints where I will be finishing The Bleeding. I've got about 100 pages left of this. And then I will be reading The Faster I Walk, the Smaller I Am. This... The reviews on the blurb say it's a gloomy feel-good novel, and it's about the irreparable loneliness of being human, a tragic comedy of rare quality. I don't really know what to expect from this now. I was kind of thinking it was going to be wholesome and cute, but now I feel like it's going to be sad. The blurb says, Mathia Martinson has never been good at dealing with other people. After a lifetime, her only real accomplishment is her longevity. Everyone she reads about in the obituaries has died younger than she is now. Afraid that her life will be over before anyone knows that she lived, Mathia digs out her old wedding dress, bakes some sweet cakes, and heads out out into the world to make her mark. She buries a time capsule out in the yard and it gets dug up to make room for a flagpole. She wears her late husband's watch and hopes people ask her for the time, and they never do. And is it really possible for a woman to disappear so completely that the world won't notice her passing? The faster I walk, the smaller I am is an ironic twist on the notion that life must be lived to the fullest. I feel like this might make me really sad, because I feel sorry for people really easily in situations where they really want something to happen and it just doesn't happen. Like, for example, she wants people to ask her the time and they just don't. So this is the next one. This is really sticky. Oh, I just feel my fingers sticky. I'm just going to put that down and wipe that as soon as I finish filming this clip. But that's the plan. And then if I finish those two, I will read some more stories of Cursed Bunny, because the first one I read was so bizarre. I really want to read more. But diving onto Patreon sprints, that is the plan. So far, I feel like this is going well. This is definitely my favourite read of the vlog at the moment. But you never know. This sticky book here might come out on top. Oh, so sticky. Hang on. I'll tell you the translator's name. It's translated from Norwegian by Kerry A. Pierce. Okay, I'm going to go clean my book and then just disinfect my whole being because it's so sticky. Oh, that's better. I hope. Ready for Patreon sprints. Let's go. I think I've read so much I've given myself a headache. It's like 5 o'clock on Friday and I am 3 books into this challenge. I have finished The Bleeding and I've given it 4.5 out of 5 stars. This was so good. It was so fast paced, it was so addictive, the short chapters, the interesting characters, the variation between different time periods, everything worked together to just, that was meant to be a chef's kiss. It didn't work very well, but it was great. It was exquisitely done. The criticism I have is that I felt the ending was rushed, and I think that was what didn't push it into 5-star territory for me. We got a lot of information that concluded each different time period's situation and how they all link together, and we got a lot of that information in like the last 30 or so pages, and it just felt like a lot to be thrown in and try and process it and then move on to the next person's conclusion, because there's 3 different stories that are linking together here, and it just felt like a lot to try and process, especially when we got the big build-up part that was like the huge moment, because I was like, what is happening here? This is great, but like I need more time. I need more time to process it. So that is my only criticism, but I thought it was great. I thought the characters were really interestingly fleshed out, and seeing how they changed as their stories transitioned and finding out more information about them. They were all fairly unreliable, which I love, and it just made them even more compelling to follow. I thought it was great. It was a good time. Favourite book of the vlog so far. 4.5 out of 5 stars. I am now dubbing this book the Sticky Book. I've covered it up with paper. I've actually put this on the wrong way around, upside down, and misaligned it. The book is actually this way around. I cleaned this book and it's still disgusting, so I have put a bit of paper wrap over the top of it, but I am now going to be starting The Faster I Walk, the Smaller I Am, which I'm now expecting to be kind of a sad read from the reviews that I can't actually tell you about anymore, because I've covered the back of the book up with this sticker, with this paper. But I mean, hopefully the inside isn't sticky, is my current thoughts going into this, and I want to know why it's sticky as well. Like, is it sticky because it's a fizzy drink? Is it sticky because it made someone cry sticky tears on it? Or is it sticky for other reasons that maybe I don't want to think too much about? Anyway, I'm going to get to reading my little DIY book. I will let you know how this one goes. Would you like to know a trait I dislike in books? Or it's not even a trait, a structure I dislike in books. It's when you have different time periods happening and it's never made clear to you where you are, like which time period you're in, or like if you're in a memory, for example, and it's not made clear and you have to spend like the first half of the chapter establishing where you are without being told. I find it really irritating. I know it's a choice. I know that. This book had it and it really threw me. I thought this was going to be much more an adventure. I thought we were going to see our main character go on some kind of wholesome self-discovery adventure and find out some stuff and have a good time and learn some life lessons along the way, but it wasn't like that. It was very mundane. It was day-to-day life. And whilst there is something cozy and wholesome about that, for me this just felt boring, and I felt like the way it was done with a whimsy, and it had some nice interactions in it, but ultimately it didn't hook me, and I think because we were being thrown about in these memories and the reflections, it was difficult to keep on track of where we were actually at with the story. There was a nice ending, and it did feel quaint and wholesome in places, but it also felt very sad and without much hope in places as well for a lot of the time. And I don't really know how good about myself I felt by the end of the book. I don't know, it was a bit disappointing. I've given it a 3-star. I think it could be closer to 2.5. It was a nice, easy writing style. It felt like it flowed very nicely and it felt very lyrical, but it wasn't for me, unfortunately. So this one is probably my least favourite, I would say, of the reading vlog so far. It has given me a little bit of time to read a bit of Cursed Bunny, though, I hope. I've got one Patreon sprint left and the evening free as well. I do want to watch more of Heartstopper because I've watched 2 episodes. Yeah, 2 episodes so far, so I really want to watch more of that. But I finished quicker than I thought I would, so I'm proud of myself because that's like over 900 pages, which still doesn't seem right. It doesn't look like 900 pages that I've read, but it is, I think. I'm pretty sure I did the maths. I think it is. Anyway, I'm going to try and read at least one story of Cursed Bunny before the end of the day. Okay, I'm going to go for the embodiment in Cursed Bunny. It's about 10:30. No, it's 10:42 to be precise. So I want to try and read one of these short stories before heading to bed and wrapping up this vlog, just so I've got one of these under my belt for the vlog. Oh look, she's sat in the same spot again. What's new? This story is interesting. I don't really know what I can tell you. Should it be a spoiler? It starts off with somebody who's having very heavy, long-lasting periods, and then we go from there. It just kind of jumped. It went from one normal moment to just this sudden, like, oh, right, okay. These are so strange, such strange short stories, but they're so addictive, and I kind of love them. So I need to find out what weirdness is happening here. I thought I'd come in here just so I wasn't updating you from the lounge again, but the lighting is absolutely crap in here. But well, I finished, what was it called? Hang on, I've forgotten. I need to check. I finished The Embodiment. I would love to know how this author comes up with these ideas. I mean, seriously, like, what is going through their brain? Would love to know, because that was bizarre. I don't even know how to tell you what it was about. It was about a woman who falls pregnant by accident and in an unusual way, in a very unusual way, and has to try and find a dad to help with the baby. It's so weird. It was so weird. So that's it, gang. I'm finishing the vlog. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed filming it. The conclusion from the vlog, it was a mixed bag, but it was a good vlog. It was a good TBR, and it was an interesting selection of books. Accidentally did read a couple of similar genred books, but it was a good time. I had fun. Oh, hang on, have I told you the translator for Cursed Bunny? It's translated by Anton Her. The other conclusion from this video is to read women in translation. This has been a great selection of books. There are so many amazing books. In my defense, I spent all day reading and all yesterday reading, and words they're just not coming out of my mouth. I don't even know what I was saying. Women in translation are great. There's loads of great books translated out there, written by women. Check them out. Read them. Let me know in the comments if you've got any recommendations. Hopefully you enjoy Women in Translation Month as a whole. It's running throughout the whole of August, but it shouldn't just be limited to you just reading Women in Translation in August. Obviously, read translated books throughout the year. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. I enjoyed filming it. I did the challenge. I completed it. Mission not impossible. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye! I realised I didn't actually tell you whether I was enjoying Cursed Bunny or not. I just told you that I thought it was bizarre. I have got quite a few stories left to go. I've only read 2 of the stories in this so far, but I am really enjoying it. It is utterly bizarre, completely unique, unlike anything I've read before, but for all those reasons, I love it. I think when something can make you feel a strong feeling, be it intrigue, sadness, happiness, anticipation, anger, I think when something can make you feel like that, it's worth reading more of it, because that's what we want from reading. We want it to evoke big feelings in us, and this is making me feel really compelled to keep going because of how strange it is and because of how unique it is. I have no idea what the genre for this is, like horror bizarreness, but I'm hooked. I'm gonna keep going. I'm loving it. Now I am gonna wrap up the vlog. I will see you in the next one. Bye!